Okay, let's talk about one of the most, well, frustrating moments you run into as a real estate agent. It's that moment where you've laid out all the facts, all your expertise, all your logic, and it just hits a brick wall. We're going to break down exactly why that happens, and way more importantly, what you can actually do about it. You know this scene. I mean, you can picture it, right? You're sitting at their kitchen table, you've just presented this beautiful CMA, you've got the comps, market trends, all of it. You have patiently, logically walked them through exactly why the correct list price is what it is. And they're nodding, you think they're with you, and then they say it. And just like that, it feels like all your hard work just evaporated. So, what is really going on here? Your first thought is probably this client is just being difficult or they're just not listening to me. But what if I told you this has nothing to do with a difficult personality? What if it's a totally predictable, well documented pattern in how our brains work? Understanding that pattern is the key to everything. Let's dig into the core of this paradox, because that's what it is. This whole situation is governed by something we can call the confidence curve. It's this bizarre thing where people who know just a little bit about something often feel incredibly confident. Meanwhile, the true experts, that's you, you're often a bit more measured because you actually understand all the complexities involved. And this isn't just some theory I made up. It has a name. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It was identified by a couple of psychologists way back in 1999, and it's a super well-researched cognitive bias. Now, this is really, really important. This is not a character flaw in your client. It's like a glitch in how we perceive ourselves, and it affects all of us in areas where we're not experts. The way the Dunning-Kruger effect works is kind of wild. It's what's known as a dual burden. So not only does their lack of knowledge lead them to the wrong conclusion, like about their home's value, but that very same lack of knowledge makes it impossible for them to even see that they're wrong. They literally don't have the skills to judge their own skills. And that is why just throwing more facts at them feels like you're talking to a wall. And listen, we've all been on this ride. Just think back on your own career. When you first got your license, you were probably on top of the world, right? On the peak of what some people jokingly call Mount Stupid. High confidence, low competence. Then, maybe 6 months in, you hit that valley of despair, where you suddenly realize, oh my gosh, I know nothing. And after a couple years, you start climbing that slope of enlightenment, where your real skill and a quieter, more earned confidence start to grow together. Well, your client, they're just standing on that very first peak. Okay, so we've got the client's mindset figured out, but that's only half the story. Here's the kicker. It's also about you. This whole communication breakdown isn't just on them. You, as the expert, are actually caught in your own cognitive trap, and it's making it almost impossible to get through. And this trap has a name, too. It's called the curse of knowledge. Once you know something inside and out, like how to price a home or what's in a contract, it becomes incredibly hard to remember what it was like not to know it. You just assume, without even thinking about it, that your client has the same context you do. And that creates this huge empathy gap that makes your perfectly logical points sound like a foreign language to them. And this is exactly how you get to that deadlock. You've got the client who's in a state of unconscious incompetence. They don't know what they don't know. And you've got the agent, you, in a state of unconscious competence. Your expertise is so automatic, you can't remember what it's like not to know. You're speaking two totally different languages, and you're both getting more and more frustrated. And there's one last layer to this whole mess. The philosopher Schopenhauer nailed it centuries ago. He basically said that when people argue, their goal usually isn't about finding the truth. It's about winning. It's about ego. Our vanity is really, really sensitive. So when you challenge a client's idea of their home's value, you're not just challenging a number. You're kind of challenging their intelligence, and their ego is going to fight you tooth and nail. All right, so we've totally picked this problem apart. We've got two cognitive biases and a dose of human vanity, all creating this perfect storm of, well, of not getting anywhere. So what on earth do you do? How do you break this pattern and actually get the job done? Well, first let's talk about what doesn't work, using the classic buyer-agent compensation issue. Step 1, you explain the facts, it's standard practice, it attracts more buyers, etc. Step 2, the client rejects it because it doesn't fit their mental frame, which is, I am not paying the other side. So step 3, you repeat the facts, maybe a little louder this time, which leads to step 4, their ego kicks in and they dig their heels in even deeper. It's a losing battle.
And here it is. This is the big takeaway. You have to stop trying to smash their frame with the hammer of your facts. It's never going to work. It's too strong. The only way you get through is by helping them build a new frame, a better one for themselves.
So how do you do that? You completely change your approach. You stop telling and you start asking. Instead of just explaining why you're right over and over, you start asking these smart, strategic questions. Your goal is to create a little curiosity gap in their mind, a space between what they think they know and what they suddenly realize they might not. And that approach just slips right past all their defenses. And here's the beautiful part. This whole method leads to the exact same outcome you wanted all along. But because the client gets to the answer through your questions, it feels like it was their idea. It fits into a new frame that they helped create. And when it's their own conclusion, well, they're not going to argue with it, are they? You know, making this shift is one of the biggest leaps you'll make in your career. It's about changing your own job description, really. You stop thinking of yourself as a salesperson who has to convince people. You start seeing yourself as a trusted advisor, as a guide. So let's just boil it all down to 3 new rules for you. Number 1, when a client pushes back, don't take it personally. Recognize it's a frame problem. And for heaven's sake, don't just say the same thing louder. Number 2, your job isn't to be right, it's to be useful. Find the door they're actually willing to walk through. And number 3, the absolute best agents. They stop fighting with their clients and they start guiding them. And this is the reframe that will save your sanity. That so-called difficult client, the one who's done all their research online, they are not your enemy. They're just standing at a place on that confidence curve that you, my friend, have already passed. And when you see them that way, with understanding instead of frustration, everything changes. And that's really the final thought here. You can't just drag someone off that peak of false confidence. They'll just fight you the entire way. Your real job, your highest skill, is to be such a good guide that you make the path down into the messy reality and then back up toward real understanding look like the smartest, most rewarding journey they could possibly take.